So about cosplay photography, I don't know if you or anyone that will watch this has tried it or is interested in it, or you just like people photography. I think it's a good option to get unique things. Yeah, it's not just like some random model that you find on what is that website? Model Mayhem. It still exists. I have a profile on there, but I never did much with it. Um, but with cosplay, you get some unique models, And I mean, obviously, you're not going to get trained models unless they are specifically a model that's into cosplay, which I'm sure there are quite a few of those. But in this case, you do get unique outfits, unique situations. Depends on what direction you want to go with it. But it's nice trying to integrate the backgrounds and stuff and the scene, the situation in a relation to the actual anime or whatever they're cosplaying from. It could be a video game. It could be, pretty much any pop culture thing these days is part of those conventions and all that, which I can get into conventions too, which is a good way to just kind of get your feet wet into it. But my first photography stuff, 2000, 2002, I was getting ready to go to my first convention with a college anime club. From there, we actually where it wasn't like immediate. We were getting ready for it, so I bought a little camera. I had seen that people were doing cosplay, and it looked interesting, so it was worth checking out at least. That's not a bad photo. This one is f2.8. Actually, both of them are. That was with the Z5 50mm. Could probably do that one. But with conventions, I think they're a good outlet to at least get started with cosplay photography. You see so many people around. It depends on how big of a convention you go to, but you can easily just go up to someone, may I take your photo type of thing, and from there you can either just move on to the next person, take a photo, or try to get a little bit more detailed with it. Obviously, you don't want to waste their time or like hold them up too long, but it's a very easy way to do people photography. And then from there, all these people that I've met and done like private photo shoots with were from conventions or like friends that knew someone else and they bring them along and then you meet them in a private situation. But usually it's all conventions, which is always nice. That one's okay. I feel like it's a easier way to get into model photography is because you either do photos of your friends, family, whatever to start off, but you can always try to find models. Like I said, with the Model Mayhem website, I never did attempt to get actual models through there, but it still exists at least. And I've heard some weird stories of people that have dealt with some crazy stuff through that website. Uh, let's see the ones that I picked. So one of these I'm going to attempt to edit here. That one's pretty good. Let's do this one. It's in focus. Yep. I'm going to slightly crop this one because it feels like there's a lot of space up to the side that I don't care about. And then rule of thirds type of thing. Her face is in one of those areas. which I mean, depending on if you're interested in that or not. So with ACDC, it's pretty nice to do any type of developing stuff. And the photo management is very nice, but I don't like it for the raster side of it. So there's a different versions, as I had mentioned in the previous stream. I have the ultimate version, but most of that relates to the edit raster stuff, which I don't like. So I was considering going down a stage with this program, so it's cheaper. But it is decent for developing stuff. I very rarely do I use JPEGs. Usually RAWs. I don't really have any reason not to. So as a skin tune, very simple way to make the skin slightly smoother. It's a little slow. Let's see. That should be good. Of course, I'm going to use the other program to do more of the actual edit, like remove blemishes and stuff like that. Mm. It really depends on, with cosplay, you can go super like hyper realistic, crazy, super colorful and everything. I don't tend to do that, but there are definitely good reasons to do it depending on like the character and the scene situation. And it makes more sense actually with cosplay compared to like a normal model photo where you see it's super colorful and crazy looking. You kind of wonder, okay, why are you going so extreme on the edit? But it can at least make more sense with cosplay, is what I'm saying. It's probably good enough. Just gonna adjust the crop slightly. So at this point, I'm gonna export as a PDF, or I said that the last time, PSD. So I'll pull it into the other program. There might be some format that I can more easily do, but this is quick. It works relatively quick. And we pull up Affinity Photo, and then I'm going to do the frequency separation filter again. I think I had it on 1 pixel. Yeah. So that gives you nice options, especially when editing clothes. Let me see if there's a good example here. Because you can save the texture of the clothes, but also remove wrinkles and things like that more easily when you have it split up between the high and low frequency. There's just not a lot to use here as the what you cover it up with. So if I go back here, you can see the difference between with the wrinkle and with the edit. You still see some texture. Let me zoom in a little bit more. There was still texture on top. It was nice. Oops. So with cosplay photography, I was saying I think it's a good way to at least get into people photography in general. Go to a convention, just hang out there, take some photos of people. You just go up to them, ask them, "May I take your photo?" type of thing. very, very rarely will you get a no. But I mean, there's generally so many people that it's easy to get some photos. I mean, in those specific situations, it's not like you're not going to get super amazing stuff if it's super busy. Obviously, you don't want to go up to people and ask them if they're when they're eating type of situation, or they're like really intensely talking to their friends or something. But there still are a lot of situations where it's very easy to get a photo. So in this case, I try to clean this picture up. And I have the frequency separation ready. I usually use all these healing brush and painting tool. Patch tool depends on the situation. And then there's those, of course, the clone as well. It's all the same as Photoshop, basically. Although I'm not sure what Photoshop has these days. I stopped using it after CS2 because I didn't want to do the monthly fee type of thing. So in this case, I have to pick a area to work off of. And I have both the high and low frequencies selected at the moment. Sometimes it's a little easier. Otherwise, you have to kind of duplicate your work in some situations. But with just these simple blemish things, I don't really care too much if it's like needs to be separated or not, because it really doesn't. But you can, of course, go into each specific layer. So if I go into the high frequency, you can see all the lines and everything. And you can edit off of that and just smooth this out if you really want to, like go hardcore on it. So if I want to take these like laugh lines out, oops, you can do that very easily. At least in this program, how I got to show the single layer is you hold Alt down on the keyboard in Windows. I don't know about Mac, to only show that one layer. So if I select those and undo, you can see the line on her face go away. And you could deal with all like the blotchiness to make it an extreme smoothness. I honestly don't go that hardcore on it, but you at least have the option to do that. So in my case, I might just go for some of the most obvious like blotches just to make it a little bit smoother. And most of the time I'm just uploading like maximum 2000 pixels square. So it's not like I need to care too much about this. But I will at least know, like I said in the previous stream, I'll at least know that it looks good close up. Oh, I see. Sorry, I haven't been looking at the chat thing. Yeah, right. Don't be afraid to ask for the photos. Yeah. Whoops. Like I was saying, conventions are a great way to do people photography. I would like to go to more conventions, but they get expensive. Mostly, I mean, there's usually, for anyone that doesn't know cosplay photography and conventions, there's usually a fee for the badge. And of course, you have to pay for food and whatever else. And in hotel situations, it gets expensive. And sometimes there really isn't a ton of food options available. So it's just the expenses definitely can add up. And the biggest expense usually, as long as you're going to a convention that isn't super far away, is the hotel cost, which, at least for me, a lot of the time I did not share a room, so that just made it more expensive. But the conventions do generally have a room rate for the convention, which is should tend to be cheaper than it normally is, but I do wonder at some conventions they kind of might be doing the opposite of that. But the point is, it can be very expensive with the hotel and the badge and the food and everything else. But I do think it is worth checking out for anyone that is interested in people photography but doesn't have a good outlet for people's photography. Let's see. So right now I'm just using the healing brush tool. You specify a source and you just paint wherever you want. And this specific program has a aligned source or unaligned. Whoops. Looks like the program crashed on me. Wow. Random crash. That's terrible. I didn't have that saved either. Whoops. It's like an extreme crash. I haven't seen that. Okay. I guess I'm going to restart that. And try to remember to save more often. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, nice. So it did save a recovery. That's good. Now let's save it. Okay, it's not too bad. We probably have some of it. Yeah, looks like it did help. Anyways, just trying to clean up the skin and everything. Maybe it'd be smarter to have a streaming computer plus the editing computer. So it's not like crossing streams or anything like that. Which is a movie reference. I wasn't a super huge fan of Ghostbusters, but I mean I like the look of it and everything, but yeah, more so just like other types of sci-fi. That should be good. I think those are her eyelashes. Yeah. Lately, I've been offering up, this is kind of, some photographers will cringe, but I've been offering up raw photos to the cosplayers. Not not the original raw, but I use the Adobe DG converter. And nice thing, you can do lossy compression plus smaller resolution. So I do 10 megapixel plus the lossy compression, so the files aren't like stupidly large. And it actually has worked out well. If I can send them like a nice large group of photos where they can edit them And then, of course, when they upload it somewhere, they'll say edited by me, such and such, which I really don't mind it because I think it's worse to let your photos sit, on a hard drive or whatever somewhere, and no one will ever see them if you don't do anything with them. So I think it's nice to give the cosplayers those at least smaller, easier, not the original raw, but a raw that they can adjust much easier. You don't have to do any type of pre-editing because if you send them JPEGs, you still have to do something. You need to make the photos at least kind of usable from the start, so there's a decent starting point. So it's much nicer to use the DNG converter because I don't need to do any like pre-editing. And then maybe a few hundred photos, a few hundred megabytes, it really can make some nice smaller files at 10 megapixel. I think you can also do 15 megapixel, but 10 seems pretty sufficient for them to, have something to use. There's probably an easier way to smooth this out. I could even apply like a blur to the high frequency layer. Or actually, maybe let me see what the low frequency even looks like. Yeah, if I wanted to smooth this out, I could probably just use blur. Let me see what it looks like. I have not used the blur tool in this program. Let's see. Gradient. It's got to be in here. Here it is. Whoa. I don't know why it looks like that. Is it in some weird mode? Let me go 25% hardness. Yeah, so in this case, if you go to the lower frequency, just smooth the coloration out. That should be pretty nice to use. I'm not even sure if that did anything. I'm going to do a more extreme. Let's do a hardness 100%. Just so I can see if it's actually doing anything. Let's look for a more serious. Zoom in here. I can't tell if it's doing anything here. Stabilizer, symmetry. Let's try median brush. Let's do the patch tool real quick. Just curious to see what this does. That definitely is not what I want to use. Escape. Let's go back to blur. Where is that? Take the hardness down. That should work. Dynamics. Oh, this is a lot of brush adjustments. Oh, we've got. Sorry, I have been looking at the chat. Yeah, the autosave. That was definitely good that it had that feature in my case. Let's see. It's so hard to tell if it's actually doing anything here. Hmm. Oh yeah, it does work. At least I can tell right there. Okay. Let's do that. So at the very least, this should be a little easier to just get smoother looking skin by using that only the low frequency layer. And then you still keep the actual texture. Contact sheets. Yeah, that makes sense. I actually remember you having some type of paper once. As I think I remember. It's been a while. Let's see what that looks like. So we still have a lot of texture from that high frequency layer, but the skin hopefully is smoother. Let's see. Oh wow, I think those were my other edits, but definitely a difference. Hmm. So in this case, I'm just going to go back to the healing brush. Let's only edit the high frequency. That should be pretty good. Blend tool. Hmm. I don't know if this has a blend tool. Clone brush. Dash burn sponge. What is this? Paint mixer? Maybe that's it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. Her wig looks pretty good. There's like no seam. Hmm. Very nice. I wonder if that's her actual hair. I think it's just dark area. Yeah. Get to those wonderful flyaway hairs pretty soon. Whoops. That doesn't look good. Switch to the in painting brush. That didn't work either. To the clone. This should work. Maybe I should fix those lines. Let's use this one. Standard healing brush. I expected to talk more about conventions, but digital contact sheets, yeah. I wrote a convention book years ago. I feel like I should try to update it, but everything takes time. I've definitely learned a lot more since then. Actually, recently I had someone send me a message through, it's called AC Paradise. I don't know if you remember that website. It still exists. It's like a skin for an old forum like software, PHP, uh, BB, I think it is. And I had a profile on there. They were asking me about RamenCon, which what a random website to these days to use to try to contact someone. My profile on there was so old with the information in it. I just told them to go to a specific Facebook group, which I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't use Facebook, but it's kind of the standard these days for that type of thing. It is too bad that cosplay.com is dead too, for the most part. I used to post on the cosplay photography forum on that one. In the ASIN forum, actually. Anime Central. Which that's gone. Just too bad. It's probably a hassle for them to try to upkeep the ASIN forum. But that's probably how I met. I don't know if you're still here, TF Create, but that might have been how I met you, is the meetup, photographer meetup that I put together. Or it could have been just a random thing, but it might have been the meetups. This is such a yeah. This is such a weird mix of I can't tell if it's hair or skin or whatever. But that AC Paradise website still exists, and it's people apparently are still using it. I can actually pull it up. Let's see. Yeah, especially wig hair. So this is the website I was talking about. Let's see if I can find my. Yeah, I had updated the profile after they contacted me. Although I still have nothing in it. Let's see what the latest. Oh, 2020 latest news. Huh. Oh, they've got a Facebook page, Instagram. Kind of curious. Okay, it's a empty. That makes no sense. Is it? Oh no, it's private. It's not empty. Okay. Anyways, I at least understand is trying to upkeep a website can be a big hassle. So props to them for keeping it in some type of functional state, whoever it is. Let's see. Trying to get some of these super noticeable lines out of here. It's probably fine. And yeah. Get this thing out. It's eye boogers or whatever these are. I should probably be making layers of this so I don't screw anything up, but I think it's okay. Save that. What's gone? There might be some delay to the chat and what I'm saying. I'm not sure. Just trying to remove anything that would be super noticeable at a smaller resolution. Just so that it looks relatively smooth. Oh, the AC Paradise? Or another one. Cosplay.com maybe? They both still exist. There were probably a few other ones. Like Fans View. I think that one's gone, but not sure. Mm. Oh, photographer meetup. Yeah, that was. Oh, the Anime Central forum is gone. Yeah, they gave some type of. I think it was 2, 3 years ago, maybe. It was just a hassle for them to try to keep it going. If it was a photography meetup, it was probably one of the ones that I tried to schedule on the forum. Because back then, Facebook wasn't as popular for events. So I used the actual forum. Fans view. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that one's gone, but we can check. Let's see. Oh no, so that was Kevin's. Fans view was Kevin's. So I guess did he have a full website? Maybe. Oh yeah, so yeah. Okay. So that was his. I should have remembered that. Yeah, Instagram is who knows what. But yeah, Kevin, man, so much work. He did he's still I have him on Instagram and Facebook, still posting photos of like racing and occasionally cosplay stuff. He's still doing some good photography. I had met Kevin at a convention called KazeCon in 2003. And back then I was very beginner. I had the little camera. So he gave me some good advice and motivation to keep going. So definitely a fan of Kevin. Uh, Maybe I'll clean this up a little bit more. I'm going to try to fix these up real quick. So I could separate the frequencies and see if it's worth editing them individually. But sometimes it's just like extra work. So if we look at the high frequency, which is this one, and then we look at the low frequency, there's stuff to edit on both, really. So I can either select them both at the same time and then maybe do singular ones when I get closer to like the actual hair, but yeah. So I'm actually kind of curious how RamenCon was. It just happened, I think, this last weekend. I didn't go to it, but I saw a few photos. Not too many, surprisingly. That my friends had, you know, on Facebook, haven't seen too many photos. Let's try to edit both layers here. Just makes it a little quicker. Oh, there must be a real delay on the chat. But for anyone that doesn't know, RamenCon is a convention in Indiana. Smaller convention run by kind of like a family almost. One guy, his name is Chris, I believe. But also I think his family helps him out. I've kind of sort of met him, but I haven't really like talked to him. And that was many years ago. Yeah, fans view is gone. There must be like a few-minute delay on the chat, so if you don't see me respond, it's probably because of that. Yeah, he definitely had a website. I remember it now. I think someone duplicated it with his blessing. Is it might have been AC Paradise, honestly, because it said 200 something galleries. I just couldn't like view them without logging in. So at the very least, his photos are mostly out there. But man, he did so many conventions, which I assume he still does or will, but probably not nearly as much as like the 2000s. Oops. Try to trying to make this like bunch of hair slightly less noticeable. Well, not also in the other way, not making it too difficult of a edit. Yeah, let's just do the high frequency. So what happens if I only edit the high frequency here? There's still like a blurry glow of color and it doesn't look good. So in that case, you can still see with the low frequency layer, you can still see the hairs. And that needs to leave in this case. So I might as well edit both of them at the same time. Yeah, definitely should still, like you said, take quite a while for conventions to be at the level they were before the pandemic. The variants are definitely not helping that situation. Let's try. Maybe clone tool. Let's see if that works better. That does not even work. Probably can't do it on the high frequency. Nope. There might be some setting I would need to change here. Let's try maybe the patch tool and then pick only one layer here. It's just that this specific spot is really small and there's like a dark patch. It doesn't give me good options for using source material. Yeah, Kevin has definitely been doing conventions a long time. I'm not sure when, but I assume he's got on the AC Paradise. If they do have the photos, we could probably find out. Yeah, I'm just trying to make it less noticeable with these hairs coming out, which is going to be displayed at like that size. So at that size, honestly, you can't see it, but we all know it's there now. Gonna undo these changes. I don't like how that looks. Is the video quality looking all right? Because I'm doing a concurrent stream with YouTube and Twitch at like 720p lower bit rate. So I was trying to think of a way to push music to both ones, but I have to use different music. And the Twitch music is like streamed music, which would take a lot of bandwidth. Yeah. See a TF create. Uh, have fun. I know you do computer work, so yeah, the photographer notices these things. Yeah. There are definitely a lot of cosplayers that, at least ones that edit their own photos, they go pretty hard on it. Even more so than me, for sure. But they've got like social media presences and everything to consider. Let's see if I can make this look a little less bad. I don't like when the hairs come a direction that looks not good. I don't know. It's like maybe. Oh, right. Yeah, on a phone, it would definitely shouldn't matter. You, you said you do computer work, right? So how's that going for you? Let's try the patch tool. That should be good. Just trying to darken this a little bit. Oh, I was not editing the high frequency. There we go. What even is that? Oh, it's like a big collar or something. It's funny that I have a Twitch thing and then I have a YouTube thing. The Twitch thing, there's like nothing. Twitch has like no discoverability without, having a pre audience, or I don't know what word I should use, but having an audience already. I mean, it's a interesting platform. I've been watching streams and such, but definitely different than YouTube. The whole you used to do computer stuff, IT projects, hands-on stuff. At some point, if my online video stuff doesn't fully materialize, I might try to get back into like normal IT rather than computer programming, because the programming and the software development is can be very taxing. And you, with computer programming, you need to know every single field that you make software for. So you're basically learning a new field to make software for that. So if you get into medical stuff, you have to learn all the medical everything. Or if you, in my case, I did some manufacturing related company stuff, and all that terminology, all the processes they use, and everything else. So, I mean, I definitely am able, but yeah, Twitch is a weird platform to understand sometimes. The one thing, one at least one way of being discovered on Twitch is whatever you set it to. So if you set it to like art or a specific game, on the Twitch homepage they have like a list of those, which, I mean, the chances of getting on the list up at the top is probably pretty low. Uh, I've been watching some streams, like I said, and it can get weird where how the streamer interacts with the chatters in certain ways when they donate and everything. It's like the the streamer is allowing the chatters to be certain ways that I feel like wouldn't fly in normal life. Just, because they can't do anything about it if they have a donation thing and it has like a text to chat and the person says a thing. I guess you could ban them or something, but money is always nice, so you have to, I guess, decide for yourself if you want to allow those type of things or not. Mm. Yeah, software program development, programming, design can be a lot of everything. Most of the software that I wrote for companies, I got to decide what I wanted to use in C sharp. So the .NET framework and everything was generally what I tried to use when I could. And it has a lot of things to make it easier and quicker sometimes when you're trying to do business related tasks like taking database information and doing stuff with it. But I don't know, it's fine. It's just it can be, especially doing contract work compared to, like, I guess if you were an employee working together with a bunch of people, you have some like social interaction and everything, which if you don't have that, it just makes it worse. Which in my case with the contract stuff, I really didn't have that type of interaction. And sometimes the workers would treat you in weird ways because you're doing contract work. I don't know. Let's edit the low frequency here. So in this case, there's like highlights where the hairs I tried to remove, but I only removed them on the high frequency layer. So they're still on the low frequency layer if I only show that. But if we go back to the high, I removed them from there. So this frequency separation thing is like good and bad sometimes. It's not working amazingly well. Let's try the patch tool. Whoops. It should be, what does that look like? Not great. Try to, whoops, I can't do that. Okay, you worked, oh, for a software development company? Yeah. So did they do, like, did they take on projects from other companies? Or was it a piece of software that they developed in-house to sell? Just doing like software company that does other projects would probably be pretty difficult on the employees because they have to learn new tasks every time, or whatever you want to call it, for different clients. Mm. Okay, medical and accounting, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. If there are a ton of employees, a ton of small tasks, probably be easier on them because they really don't need to know everything. But in some ways, if the software isn't designed properly and the tasks and what you need to know isn't like split up properly, I could see that being problem. Because someone could try to write something to do a specific task, like pull information from some other company related to like medical insurance or something. If they don't know what they need to know, yeah, I could see that being a hassle. So in my case, I was doing some programming related to specific databases with these tools and things, and I had to know the terminology and what each number did and everything else. And often the people wouldn't even know specific enough information for me to make it work properly. So part of it was trying to get the right information from people. Yeah, I assume you know camel case with the, I don't know if they still use it, but the way that they name variables and such. Or variables, and also what you do for variables or what you do for function names or class names. It, having some type of structure definitely helps. It should be, see what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, probably in the case of large teams, they have to be very careful about changing functions and everything else. But in my case, I just did whatever I felt like for the most part. Let's try the healing brush. Oh, geez. I don't even know how to say that word. I know what it is. Dvork. Is that how you say it? Yeah. Probably be pretty difficult to, or take a while to memorize a different keyboard layout like that. It's very different that they would standardize that. Hmm. Did they force you to use that layout? Whoops. Not editing on the two layers. There we go. Wow, that looks bad. Hmm. I think in some situations, using frequency separation can just be more of a hassle than a benefit. Whoops. That's not what I want to do. Let me just go into low frequency. Patch tool. Whoops. Oh, placing stickers on the keyboard so they didn't have to. That's funny. Oops. Here we go. Yeah, there are some things about the tech industry that I'm not a fan of with the cultural. Although I didn't have a ton of exposure to like how businesses work inside. I had one contract that was basically like a normal job for a while, and they had their own little. It wasn't a huge company, but they had their own little culture, and it was like a potential contract to hire, which didn't work out. But they definitely had their weird little things that they did as a IT group. It should work. A Belgian company. Don't have much employee turnover. Plus, the employees got really long training bonds. So they will stick around for years. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if it's a good environment, definitely. If they can figure out ways to make it pleasant for the people working there, that's good. Getting relatively close to being done with this, hopefully. There's always more wig hairs to deal with, it seems like. Coding speed and ergonomics over time. Are you saying that they had like metrics or something or things they had to meet? The small company I went to complained, well, the main guy complained because he thought I was going slow. But what was honestly actually happening is that the other programmer didn't really have anything for me. So I was just trying to make what I had as good as possible. But a lot of human relation stuff get mixed in when you get groups of people in like normal work situations, I guess. It's probably pretty good. Oh, it's like a hair that. Oh, I get what you're saying. With so you use the keyboards because it's faster eventually. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Potentially true, yeah. I knew a guy that used that layout, and he was a not my favorite person. But obviously, I'm not going to judge a layout by some random guy that I knew. Whoops, that looks weird. Let's try to clone. There we go. Save it. Well, there's always something I keep seeing in here that I should edit. That should be good. Okay, consumer electronics. Nice. Oh yeah, I that makes sense. Philippines. Definitely see a lot of stuff that says made in Philippines. So some of my camera stuff is probably trying to remember which camera brands have plants in those places. I mean, besides Sony, maybe Sony. I have an A6000, but I'm not sure where that was made. Maybe it was Pentax that, yeah. I think my Nikon stuff is made in Thailand. Most of the Canon stuff I have is Japan. Although some of the EFM lenses might be somewhere else. Somehow Canon manages to keep a decent amount of their production in Japan. Like the M50, I'm for sure is made in Japan. Not really sure how they manage it. This Nikon actually closed one of their Japan plants somewhat recently, I think. Okay, Fujifilm, Tamron, Sony. That makes sense. Yeah, maybe it was I had a Fujifilm, can't remember the name of it, camera. Yeah. The manufacturing stuff is a weird situation. The United States kind of turned into a big consumer, but I don't think we make too much here anymore. I mean, there's very specific things that definitely are, but definitely not cameras. Yeah, Thailand. I mean, if it works, regardless of where it's made. Although I am kind of curious how the gray market stuff actually works. And if it's, I do wonder if the gray market stuff is like sanctioned by the main company, or is it like they have some type of agreement with the who knows what, like a production plant or something. Whoops, don't want to do that. Let's edit the low frequency for this. There's some texture on the material. Alt click. There we go. So, yeah, premium product to make it work. Although, like I said, they do make the M50 in Japan still. And I think they also make the G, like the fixed lens, which those technically could be considered premium because they are pretty expensive for what they are. Although Canon's kind of a special case because they're just so large, they can probably figure out how to do it efficiently. Although Canon might even be more technically advanced with their manufacturing than Nikon. Why is that not working? I'm just guessing here, but yeah. Lately, in regard to YouTube videos, I got GVM, those lights, gray market. Uh, Gray market items are usually imports from locations with no taxes. Hong Kong, okay. So they basically take it from another region. That makes sense. And it's just generally like tax plus maybe the retail price is set lower, maybe. That makes sense. So there's like a buffer, I guess, of different price. But with the YouTube stuff recently, I made those videos on GVM's lighting kit, which is actually pretty decent. Their app has issues, but the lights themselves are nice. And the company, the person that has been talking to me was very polite, very like reasonable, which I don't always get with companies that try to, deal with me. Okay, I made a video about a backpack in the past. I can't remember which one, the name of it, but the company was very. They even tried to get me to change the title of the video, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. Or at least I did change the title, but I didn't change it to what they wanted. Okay, you're saying it does mean that the distributorship in the region won't make any profit. Yeah, that's true. So it kind of the money doesn't go into the places that it should go. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, changing model numbers for specific. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, from what I've seen, their warranties you have to like send it back to wherever it came from. It's reasonable. I mean, it's just kind of for people that live in a certain region, it's the cost of living there, I guess, to pay whatever rate is, you know, for stuff. At least in the United States, the prices are not terrible, but then we also don't have health insurance for, global health insurance, things like that. So we don't have a VAT tax or anything like Europe. Uh, but we do have sales tax, and sales tax is a thing that we need to pay here in the United States, even if a website, if you buy online, you're technically legally required to pay tax on everything. Sales tax, I mean. But now pretty much every decent sized website charges tax. So Amazon, B&H. It's kind of a smaller version of what you were describing with the different countries and the gear from different countries. In the case of the United States with buying things, if you buy it from a different state, in the past, people were able to, not legally, but they were able to buy something without paying tax on it. And that, of course, the states complain because then they're not getting sales tax revenue. And even the local governments, printers, mm, printer cartridges, big margin. Yeah. The whole printer industry is something. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like. It's probably. Oh man, there's always more hairs that I keep missing. Go back to low frequency layer. Oh, no. That's on the high. That's why I missed it. Crap. Let's see. Try the in-painting tool for this high frequency layer. There's some texture in this cloth, which I didn't really want to mess with, but I don't think I have an option. Yeah, that kind of destroys the texture of it. Let's try healing brush maybe. Printers are more expensive in developing markets because third-party inks and toners dump. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So they have more options for cheaper ink. I kind of would prefer to pay more for the printer. Well, I definitely would. Actually, I take that back. I definitely would prefer to pay more for the printer and less for the consumable. Let's see. Whoops. Oh, that's. Is there some type of law that allows the third parties to compete? Because here they kind of try to use. I'm not sure about the current situation, but in the past, they have used technology like lockout chips and stuff to prevent third party ink. Whoops. Try the clone here. So I'm doing low frequency only and use the clone tool maybe or whatever else. Yeah, the clone is too extreme. Let me try healing brush again. Sometimes in this area where the hair meets something, you get this weird blur. It's hard to deal with of the colors, like a mix of the colors. And the key machines to the cart. Yeah, they keep. Okay, I get it. The key machines to the cartridges, so you get locked out if you don't. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a weird situation. I understand with the companies they want to make their money and everything, which is fine, but it can be frustrating. I personally only currently only use a black and white laser printer, so I'm not buying uh, the consumables very often. So I don't print much either. Mostly like important documents occasionally. I'm sure someone that is like into printing photos and stuff, they probably are pretty frustrated with the situation. Although in the with photos, maybe using first party inks is a generally a better idea. I mean, just quality wise, but I would assume there are some nice third party ink companies as well. This is probably about done. Don't really like that area, but you have a Canon A2 printer. Oh, that's the size, right? Yeah. Uh, Laser printers. Oh, that makes sense. Color calibration would be off with different inks. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, at the very least, Canon, I'm sure, makes their inks consistent. See how that looks. I think it's better than it was, but this kind of bothers me, this area. Eh, there's a lot of hair that I'd have to deal with right there. Probably should try. Do you do much printing of photos? I did do a collaboration with a printing company once for a video. That was pretty fun. They gave me a code for a book. Good third party inks. Elite is one of them. Oh, they supply. Yeah, that makes sense. So the suppliers getting a secondary cut on the market. Oh, not to break the relationship. Yeah, not shocked. I mean, if I were Canon or something, I would be kind of irritated if a supplier pulled that type of thing on me. This is actually working okay. But dealing with this little area right here where there's a weird mix of hairs, not great. Let's see. Maybe I just select both layers here and try to just make it look a little bit more natural. I should be editing the other direction of hair. So you used to print back in the film days, scan the film, print, and print. Yeah. Okay, you only print to keep motivated. That makes sense. Personally, I've never had a ton of space available to, you know, display stuff, so it's kind of, I don't have a huge reason to make physical copies. Though I am very curious and interested about that whole side of the physical prints, but maybe someday. Not even sure what I'm doing in this spot. That kind of works. I think it's good enough. Yeah. I think I'm done with this edit. That was, let's see how long that was. Almost 2 hours. A little extreme. Let's select it and look at the difference. There is very little visible difference, at least at this zoom level. A little bit. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna turn this off for now. I have so many other photos I can edit, but with this like level of edit per photo, you know, you can only do it in so many blocks of time.